Hello and welcome to Wargaming Retreat, and today we will be looking at the titan of a book that is Grey Wolf. Now, Grey Wolf is an intelligence briefing book with 33 lists in it. Bloody hell. Right, and it covers the Axis forces on the Eastern Front from January 44 to February 45. And included in it are lists for the Germans, the Hungarians and the Finnish. I believe the Romanians are in the sister book to this, along with a single Polish list, and the Russians in the Red Bear book, which covers the same time. So we'll go straight in. So as with most of the big intelligence briefing books, Grey Wolf includes a user guide. It basically tells you how the books work, how to make a list, how to base units, all of that stuff that is in pretty much every single intelligence briefing book. And then you get a basic history of the time period it covers. So the Eastern Front in 44. Basically the Soviets start winning everything. A nice touch as well is that in the front cover it shows the extent of German control at the end of 43, and on the back cover it shows it in December 44. The Russians go from here to here, basically. So, as after history, we start going into the lists. And the first set of lists are sort of distilled from three battles. The Battle for the Narva Line, Korsun Pocket, and Kamenets Podolsky, or Hube's Pocket, or Hube's Pocket. And the first list in this is Kampfgruppe Bakker, which very heavy Panthers and Tigers. But we go through, we have generic Grenadier list, we have generic Fallschirmjäger Company list, generic, oh no, that's not generic, that's SS Freiwilliger, we have all sorts of things. But after that, we go into another section, which is Operation Bagration, which is the big Soviet offensive of 44 that obliterates Army Group Center. And we go and we have the 78th Sturm Division, we have, Stug Battery, we have all sorts of interesting, but also some pretty generic units as well. So we have Pioneer Company, we have just tanks, some warriors dotted through, of course. So we have heavy tanks, Panzer Grenadiers, all sorts of these, generic armoured infantry lists that you get in quite a lot of the German books. There are a few very interesting ones at the end. We get the Sperber Band, which I'll come back to later. This is a big book, a big, lovely book that includes huge numbers of things. Anyway, the next section is the Battle for Poland. And in the Battle for Poland, we get a lot of SS is introduced, including an interesting section for the SS list here, which is the Panzerkanonen, which is basically allows you to take a platoon of hero Panzer IVs. So that's something, So we have SS Panzerkampfgruppe and SS Panzergrenadier Kampfgruppe. Fearless veteran with SS rules. It's the SS in all German books. Then we have Sicherungscompanie, which is light infantry company with armoured trains. Yeah, armoured trains. There are two types. Anyway, after that we go into another section, which is the Battle for Hungary for the Germans, and this introduces another type of panzer list for the Germans, which is the Feldherrnhalle. I believe, I can't remember exactly, the Feldherrnhalle are brown shirts conscripted into the Wehrmacht. I'm not exactly sure, I can't remember. So you get a couple of lists based off them. And then the final list for the Germans is the Panzerjäger Company, which is a list made up of Hetzers, or Panzer 38Ts, as I believe they're supposed to be known. Anyway, that ends the Germans. They have their truly titanic support and arsenal section, as they always do in all the books. And after that, bear with me a second, we move into the second nation, which is the Hungarians. So in this section we get a brief look at the brief history of the Hungarians on the Eastern Front. Which is nice, you know, I don't actually know that much about the Hungarians on the Eastern Front, and this is a nice basic introduction to that sort of thing, major battles and such. I get a warrior and an interesting list, which I'm not going to try and pronounce, but so I say is a Hungarian tank company. So they get a mixture of German and Hungarian tanks. Move on, they get motorized infantry lists, standard infantry lists, assault gun lists, and after that we move into lists based around the defense of Budapest itself. With the, okay, I'll go for it, Önkéntes Puskás Század, or the Volunteer Rifle Company, which I'm very interested in, simply because in all the books I have no fearless conscript lists, apart from this one. And I'm really interested to see how that would play, because you know, I play Germans and most of the time it's competent veteran. So, you know, after the Hungarians with their arsenal, we get the Finns, and we get another history section that dictates, outlines the Finnish army in 1944. So we get maps of where major engagements occur and the general course of the continuation war, including tanks in Finnish service, which we'll move on to with their first list, which is the Pansari Kompania, which is a tank company. This is an interesting list simply because they get a strange mix of very old Soviet tanks and then some new Soviet tanks like T-34-85s. They get the Stürmi Kompania, which is another tank list, but this time made up of Stugs. And then they get the two lists, which I believe they get in some of the earlier books, that is the Akari Kompania and the Yalkavaki Kompania. I'm sorry guys, I'm trying here, but it's a bit of a mouthful for me. And these two lists they're interesting again because you've got this fearless veteran, light infantry sort of thing going on that is very different for me, again, from anything I'm currently playing. And that rounds off the lists, really, in Grey Wolf. Right. Fantastic book. I really like this book because the amount of lists you get here is truly titanic. For the Germans, I feel like you can play pretty much anything under the sun. And then on top of that, you get the Hungarians and you get the Finns. Now that's just awesome. Loads of variety and cool things to play, especially with the Finns and the Hungarians. In particular, there are two lists that I would love to take a look at. The first one is on page 94. And this is the Sperverband, which is a blocking force, and it's a reluctant veteran German list that can take some really interesting options, such as, you know, strange sort of infantry platoons that take a mixture of machine guns and infantry and have cool tank assault rules. So I'd be so interested to play that. And then finally, just one of the Hungarian tank companies, because Hungarian tanks, I like tanks, and Hungarian tanks look cool. They're not the best out there. They only have 89, I think, but cool. And this is what I'd say about this book. Loads of lovely, juicy options to play in one truly enormous tome. So there you go. Gets David's seal of approval there. And that's it. Whew, that was a hard one. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye-bye.